These days, there are way too many gosh darn trade rumors that it's tough to go out there and single everything out. We can talk about the Alexander Wenbergs, we can talk about the Alex Tucks, we can talk about the Justin Halls, and we can talk about the Jake Gensels, but in this video, what I wanted to do was go over an idea brought up by the local insiders here in Vancouver. Because 2 days ago, in the March 2nd edition of Donnie and Dolly, you had yourselves a conversation on the show saying that forwards Tyler Toffoli and Jordan Greenway are two names to keep an eye on before the trade deadline. They also mentioned that Canucks superstar Elias Pettersson is a huge fan of Toffoli's game. Now, this tweet thread by Taj is pretty interesting because the first reply goes out there and says that the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights will both have an interest as well, based on other reports. This could turn into a bidding war. And over the past few days, I feel like a lot of Canucks fans have been sort of stirring around this idea that Tyler Toffoli, New Jersey Devils forward and eventual UFA to be, is a pretty big interest here. Not just from the management's point of view, but from the fans themselves. You can see the replies to this Twitter thread. You've got Tommy with the Toffoli picture with the Canucks. You've got that meme circulating around. Oh, the Canucks have added Toffoli. Oh, they would be able to add Toffoli. And now hearing, apparently, that one of the top superstars on the team is very much interested in bringing him back. That's a pretty good sign, I'd say, if you wanted to lean into whatever smoke may exist in this situation. In fact, it's not even the first time we have seen something like this. Just a few weeks ago, we made a video talking about how apparently Quinn Hughes wanted the Canucks to make the trade for Chris Tanev, and that was another pretty interesting idea because it essentially went over the same thing, how a Vancouver Canucks superstar liked a guy so much on the trade market that it became recognized. His preference would be for the Canucks to trade for that guy. Now, we know the Canucks did not end up trading for Chris Tanev, he went to Dallas, but they were involved in those discussions, and there's probably a small part of the conversation, maybe not the entire thing, but just a small part, that says that Quinn Hughes may have had some sort of responsibility in that. Maybe with his vote of confidence and his desire to play with Tan Man once again. And here's the thing. If Donnie and Dolly are talking about how Elias Pettersson would like to play with Toffoli again, then there's probably some inkling that the Canucks management themselves knows about this idea too. That when Pettersson and Toffoli played together in the 2020 bubble playoffs, they were good. In the regular season, in that stint, Toffoli was a point-per-game guy, and this and that, and he plays a game that is really smart and cerebral, and he puts himself in the right spots, and he's able to find the puck and put it in the back of the net with ease, and he's been producing a lot more in the past few years than he has had in any other time in his career, period. So Tyler Toffoli is arguably at the top of his game as a UFA to be, and the Vancouver Canucks are looking for forwards. So is this the guy to go out there and move the needle so much that they end up pulling the trigger on some sort of a move? Now, when it comes to the other two teams, the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights, we'd already made a video talking about the LA Kings and how they would apparently be interested in bringing Toffoli back. This is a team that has slowly worked themselves back up into the playoff race after going on that really bad slump in the middle of the season, and if they wanted to replace some of the guys that are out for a while, you've got Arvidsson, who's not playing, you've got Adrian Kempe, who is out too. Tyler Toffoli could be that extra piece, and if you wanted to try to stretch your cap shenanigans over into the playoffs, let's say some of these guys are out for a while and you LTIR them until game 1, then there could be a pretty good cap circumvention-like strategy to make things work. And I say cap circumvention quite jokingly because I recognize that it's all legal under the salary cap rules to do LTIR shenanigans. It's just very slimy, I would say, the way it's been handled sometimes over the past few years. And Nikita Kucherov's incident, I think, is the most egregious example. But still, speaking about those cap circumventing teams, the Vegas Golden Knights could very well be in that conversation as well. Mark Stone is out for a while, so that opens the door for other right-handed forwards to be available to them, and because of the Vegas Golden Knights' apparent interest in some of the other free agents to be and top targets on the market, like a Jake Gensel, etc., the idea of Tyler Toffoli being a part of this is all of a sudden very legit too. And if you're wanted to talk about what this does, what LA, Vegas, and Vancouver all being interested in the same guy, what does that do? It creates a bidding war amongst all of these specific teams that are all gonna be clawing and fighting against each other come playoff time. Patrick Allvin doesn't want to get outdone by the Vegas Golden Knights or the LA Kings, because if they do, then all of a sudden they play off against one of these teams in the first round of the playoffs, and guess what? Toffoli smokes the Canucks, because he's always smoked the Canucks, whether it was with LA, Montreal especially, Calgary, and then New Jersey. Tyler Toffoli is a Vancouver demon. He, for some reason, is able to consistently put the puck in the back of the net against the Canucks, and it is terrible. Maybe that's why Elias Pettersson likes his game so much, because it's so gosh darn effective against this team. And then, of course, when he was in Vancouver, he was pretty good too. So there's a very high amount of success rate that Vancouver Canucks players have been exposed to in regards to Tyler Toffoli every single year. That Montreal stint especially was the most damning one, because the guy got like a hat trick a game against Vancouver. It was nuts. We were making videos continuously about Tyler Toffoli's reign of terror amongst the province of BC that it was just so overwhelming to see it go down. But either way, we have ourselves this apparent interest from these three Pacific Division teams, and when it comes to the Devils themselves, the apparent scoop is they may not actually want to do this. Elliot Friedman said earlier today on the 32 Thoughts podcast, as well as the Jeff Merrick show, he isn't convinced that Tyler Toffoli is being traded, because the New Jersey Devils will try to re-sign him and they don't want to give up on the season just yet. Now, the Devils are in a pretty bad spot because of the amount of losses they've been able to pile up the past few days. Ever since Jack Hughes said that people pay to see him play, like, that was a pretty bad quote, because now you guys have lost all these games, you can't beat Lucas Dostal on the penalty shot, and the numbers are just going down the drain here in terms of the playoff odds for the Devils. They don't want to give up on the season just yet, it's apparent, but I can totally understand the perspective where it's like, okay, New Jersey, come on. Like, at some point or another, you're going to have to give up on the playoff aspirations in 23-24 because it just hasn't been there for your team. You may want to re-sign Toffoli, but is he going to want to re-sign with you? Send him to a playoff team right now, get some assets in return, and then he'll be a free agent once again, and that will be that. Like, just let go here. Igor Sharangovich, you can't grasp onto the past. That guy's gone. So just try to get whatever else it is that you can get for Tyler Toffoli while he is available and while he is valued, and you have these three Pacific teams probably knocking on your door trying to one-up each other because they don't want to let Toffoli go to the rival team in the same playoff race. So this seems to be like a pretty big deal, and there are some other conversations we can have as well as to other bidding wars around the league. Vancouver and Vegas seem to be in one for Jake Guentzel, it appears, according to Pierre LeBrun, but then again, we just made a video about Guentzel like an hour ago, so I'd probably want to stay clear of Guentzel talk for now. But if you are an LA Kings fan, a New Jersey Devils fan, a Vegas Golden Knights fan, or a Vancouver Canucks fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of a Tyler Toffoli trade to your team. Okay, if you're a Devils fan, maybe that doesn't apply to you, but what is it that you would want from either LA, Vegas, or Vancouver in terms of a Toffoli deal? And if you're a fan of any of these three teams, then please reply in the comments section as to what it is that you feel is the max you'd be willing to give up for a Toffoli. And do you care all too much, just in general, that some of these other Pacific teams are involved in the same guys in the trade market? If you're a Kings fan, scale of 1 to 10, how pissed off would you be if a team like Vancouver or Vegas ended up getting Toffoli? If you're a fan of the Golden Knights or the Canucks, same question goes out to you. And what is the max you'd be willing to give up for some sort of a Toffoli deal? Do you talk about your first-round picks? Do you talk about your top prospects? Do you talk about a roster forward going the other way? I'm no GM, but I'm saying right here, if there's a Michkov for Toffoli swap, I'd like that a lot, but that obviously is not very realistic, now isn't it? But Vegas fans and LA fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. What are your opinions on your team trading for Toffoli? How do you think this bidding war is going to go, and where do you think Toffoli ends off the 23-24 season? Is it in New Jersey, or is it on the West Coast once again? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.